Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Harry, and I'm doing this video in regards to the Wi-Fi video doorbells. And my headline reads, "Do not buy the Wi-Fi video doorbell until you see this video." Uh, it cost me close to $16,000. Uh, and I want you to hear my story so that you can uh, be a wise consumer and do your due diligence on making a decision on the direction that you'd like to go, as far as whether you'd like to purchase one of these systems for yourself, or if you did not. Uh, so let me go on with my story, and then you guys can make a decision. About 2 years ago, a friend of mine had come up to me, and we were talking, and he was talking about he had purchased a Wi-Fi video doorbell monitoring system for his home, and how he was excited, and how clear the video was, and the moment someone steps on his porch, so many feet, I'm not sure exactly how many feet or whatever, but they get a full picture of who the person is at the door, and they can actually talk to that person, whether they're in the home, in their car, on the job, on vacation, or whatever the case might be. So he was pretty excited about that, and I heard him out, and I did look into it, and at that time they were a bit pricey for me. I had run across some that were as high as 349, 399, and also I ran into some that was low as 249. But at that point, at that time of my life, I have been in this. I'm retired now, and I had just got rid of my security system, my full security system, because all of my kids were grown. I'm a widower, so I kind of live by myself. I mean, my kids visit and my grandkids, but they don't actually stay with me. So I wanted to do away with that $49 a month monitoring service bill, and I had cut that out. And so when he came up with the Wi-Fi doorbell solution, video doorbell solution, I uh, I kind of took it with a grain of salt. I said, well, I don't have the security system. I've been cool, and I'm saving that uh, amount of money, which is a considerable amount if you add it up. You got $50 uh, for 12 months, and you know what that is. So I decided not to purchase. So, uh, I've seen them on the television and advertisements, and uh, uh, the convenience of having one, and the safety they could provide for homeowners like myself, especially if you at the time when I had kids and all, and even now as a senior, I needed even more. But at that time, I thought that I could save some money and just do what I've been doing. About a year after I didn't um, get this doorbell, I had a knock at my door, and unfortunately for me, I have a solid oak door, and I don't have a peephole. I have to actually open my door to see who's at the door, which I'm very cautious. Don't get me wrong; I'm just not opening for anyone. So I got a knock at the door. I asked who it was, and they said they were a service provider of this, that, or the other, which I could hardly hear them, but I could see that they were soliciting. So I opened the door, and there were two young men. They were very dressed very well. They had one guy had a decent pullover, and the other guy had a shirt and tie, and they had bifolds, or um, uh, something, a little thing that they carry information in. They both had one, and they had a uh, thing around their neck that had their name and information on it. So I felt pretty secure that these guys were legitimate. So I unlocked my screen door, and when I opened the door, the guy immediately grabbed my arm and tried to pull me out the house. Well, I'm not a little guy, but I'm older now. I don't have the strength that I may have had at one time, but I'm not a little guy either. So I actually got leveraged between the door and was able to yank myself back into the house. At which point I fell back, and I think one guy fell back on the porch. Now, what I didn't realize is that my screen door has a lock that you have to lock it personally, unlock it, or lock it personally, or use the key on the outside of the screen door to open your screen. When I unlocked it, for some reason, it did not. It was engaged. The lock was still sitting out of the lock. It didn't go all the way in. So when I yanked back, the lock actually tore my arm, the flesh of my arm, from my elbow. I hope you can see this. It's hard to do on this. But from here all the way down to here. Now, because at some point in my life, I was on dialysis because I have end-stage renal disease, I had a fistula uh, placed in my arm, which would provide a portal for me to receive my dialysis. I've since don't utilize that anymore, but it's still active. It was still active, and it wasn't as tore up as this is right now. If you can see that, I'm just in an awkward place. But because of that, it ripped all the way down, and I started bleeding. The blood was like pumping out, you know, because fistula is a artery and a vein put together so that the dialysis solution can go in. It can be washed through the system, cleansed through the system, and then returned back into your body. And that process takes about 4 hours. You do that about 3 days a week, and that will keep you alive, which it had done for me. And fortunately for me, I was able to receive a transplant, and I have been doing quite well since that transplant, and did not actually have to utilize the fistula to receive dialysis. So the arm was already impacted by the surgery to connect the vein and artery together to prepare me to receive dialysis services. But after that, it even made it worse. It actually tore through all of the work that they had done to prepare it, and then it made it even worse. If it wasn't for my neighbor, I kind of yelled out, and when they seen the one guy, when he fell back, when I got up and came back to the door, just trying to get myself together, they seen all that blood and they took off running. I mean, they flew down the street. I didn't really get a good look at these guys, and and at that point, I wasn't even worried about it. I was more concerned about my life. But one for my neighbor, she came over, and she is a nurse, and that was a good thing for me because she was able to actually stop the bleeding. She did some kind of tourniquet or something on it that slowed the bleeding down until the ambulance got there, and they were able to do what they did to continue to slow the bleeding down until they got me to the emergency room, at which point they pretty much immediately took me up to surgery. So I say all this to say that sometimes we, be, as older individuals, we're wise. We have experience of life, and sometimes we think we know everything, and unfortunately, we don't know it all. And that situation could have been deadly when a year earlier I could have gotten a device that would have probably eliminated that whole ordeal or event that happened on that attempted home invasion or robbery, or whatever you want to call it. So uh, I say this: I now have yeah, $16,000 later. I now have the Wi-Fi video doorbell on my house, and it serves me well because I don't need a peephole anyway. Which at one point I was going to drill one in the door, but I don't need it now, to the fact that when as soon as they step on my porch, or like actually in the front of my house before they actually step on the porch, I my phone lights up and I can see who's actually at my door, and I can also answer the person. I can say, "Can I help you?" And there have been some times where people have come to the door, and before they even get to the door to ring the doorbell, because I get sometimes before they even hit the doorbell, my camera's viewing them, and I say, "Can I help you?" And as a male, they hear my voice and they say, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I got the wrong door." And I know automatically right then there was male intent. There was something going on, and they kind of chased them away hearing my voice. Uh, a lot of the times I'm not even home when someone knocks at the door, but the my cell phone captures the picture, and I'm able to answer the door. Sometimes I say I'm busy right now, I can't come to the door, to make them think I'm in the house, or other times I say I'm not available. Please, you know, come back later or give me your information, and then I'll give you a call or whatever the case might be. So that was a lesson, a very hard lesson I learned. I mean, it was a hard lesson to learn. And one thing about my friend, I will say this: not one time did he ever come back. "Man, I told you to get that video doorbell, Wi-Fi doorbell. I tried to tell you." No, never one time did he come back and say anything. He was in my corner when I was going through the ordeal, visitations at the hospital to see me and check me out, and never a word of "I told you so." So I have a lot of respect for the man, and now I do have the Wi-Fi doorbell. Now, initially, it was costly, and that was one of the reasons that I decided not to actually purchase the doorbell, because, like I said, I was already trying to downsize my bills because I went into retirement. And for me, I did not make as much money in retirement as I made when I was working. So I had to chop some bills down so that I could afford to live as a retired individual. Um, so, but in hindsight, that little $249, or it could have been 400, if I knew what I know now, I probably still would have purchased it. But I didn't, and I learned a hard lesson. So what I'm here to say is, if you're on the borderline like I was, and you feel, "Oh, I don't need that," or um, "I'm okay," this, that, and the other, don't procrastinate. Don't do what I did, because it not only cost me uh, $16,000 of my hard-earned money, but it also took time between the surgeries, and altogether between the surgeries and the rehab, that took about 6 to 8 months of my life, off, not being able to actually do the things that I really want to do or wanted to do. And I still have limitations due to the fact of this arm here is never going to be the same, you know. So it's an ugly monster, you know. Pull it up as much as I can. It's an ugly monster, but I'm alive, and this could have all been eliminated, and my arm would probably pretty much look like this one here. There was a couple little lumps in it, but it definitely wasn't anything like this. So, uh, save yourself some money now and increase your security by adding just the Wi-Fi video doorbell. That alone will deter people from even coming to your door. Uh, I was able to uh, buy mine, and I found a website that I'd like to introduce you guys to that has the prices that are very reasonable. And I have the same doorbell that my friend paid close to $300 for. It's going on 2 years now, about 2 years ago. Now, down below, there's a link. And in the link, just push the link and you'll see the discounted price. I got a discount on mine. It was $99.99, and that was the average because I checked on eBay, and that was pretty much the average price. Some higher, some lower, but 99 was like the going rate. But they're even cheaper now, and so they have a special, and I wanted you guys to take advantage of the special. Don't be like me and try to save a couple of dollars, because saving a couple of dollars costs me a whole lot of money and a whole lot of time. So I am a believer in the Wi-Fi video doorbells. Uh, I had to go through an experience that hopefully nobody else would have to actually go through. But I recommend these doorbells and or any security device or system that you can afford. It's good to have some form of security on your residence, because it, it's like they say, it's not if they come, it's when they come. Because even as a child, growing up, my mom's, our house was broken into, and they took our color TV. And back in those days, you only could afford one color TV. I mean, if you had one, you were blessed. But you can only afford one. They took our little color TV out. And the funny thing about it, I'm gonna tell you, I have to share this. Back in the days, that was, I'm talking about the '60s. They had the black and white TVs, and we got ours. Somebody came and installed ours out the house. So my dad bought another little portable one on wheels, a little TV on the wheels, and it was black and white. And he went and purchased at one of the little stores that have Treasure Island or something like that, it was called back then. They had this piece of plastic. And on this plastic, it was like colors: red, green, blue, and you pasted it on your TV. And back then, I swear, it did look like your TV was in color. So since we got our little TV stolen, we got the little plastic thing, and we were like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we got color TV." But I'm telling my age now, but that was funny. My dad couldn't afford another color one, but he said, "I'll get you something that look close to it." But anyway, uh, you guys take a look at below and see if this is something that is doable for you. I think it could be. I'm not connected with the people who are doing this or anything. I don't get a kickback or anything. I'm doing this as a public servant. And hopefully that any of you out there that have been on the borderline, take my story. It's a true story, and it's not a joke. It's nothing to laugh at, because If it wasn't for my neighbor coming to my rescue immediately, my doctor said I probably would have been dead in 5 minutes. I would have completely bled out. And that's a scary thing, you know. So, I'm out of here. I'm Harry. Hi, everybody. I might do some other videos on some. Now I'm a security junkie now. I look at all these little security devices and all, and I might, if I see something that's worthwhile, that's but worth buying, I'll give you my little personal review. It might not be a technical review of all that it does, but once you go online to purchase it, you will get all that detailed information from the site, and then you can decide if it's something that will serve you well or if it's something that you can do without. So without any further ado, thanks for watching my video. And as you see, I'm not a professional video recording person, but I just thought this was something that was needed. And uh, I guess I'm out of here. If you have any questions or concerns, or you just want to ask me a question, whatever, just leave your comments below, and I'll do my due diligence to get back to you and answer any question that you might have for me. So, thanks again for watching. And I know this was a pretty long video, but thanks for watching, and I hope that this serves you well. All right, bye.